So once again, I'm looking for your help and your information. And what I'd like to know, my question is, what's the worst advice or the worst information you think you've heard in the raw vegan movement and the raw foods movement, in the vegan movement even, but I'm talking about more health related information. So what I'm really kind of talking about is things like, for example, a good example of it, a simple example might be something like someone saying the raw food is so nutrient dense that you don't need to eat much of it, that you can get away with eating like a very small amount. So that's really bad information because it's not it's very vague. It's not giving anyone anything to really base what their diet's going to be on. And this goes back to a time when people hadn't really worked out how to do the diet long term as a lifestyle. No one had worked out how to do a raw diet long term, so they were still including cooked food. And all these raw pioneers that people look back to from years and years gone, almost all of these people were only raw foodists in a short term period. They didn't do it for a lifestyle generally, throughout their life. There's probably very few that actually were 100% raw, and very few would have worked out because you see it in some of their teachings or in some of their writings where they're actually telling people to limit fruit or whatever or cut down on, so it's stupid from the get-go, a lot of it. Some of them, they talk about food in terms of weighing food. So weighing, and saying a kilogram of fruit or a pound of fruit or whatever, and and making a diet based on that is it doesn't make any sense because every fruit has different value to it, and are you talking about tomatoes as a fruit? Are you talking about avocados as a fruit? These are very different in terms of what they're going to give you nutritionally. But the main thing that I would think about, and the main issue with the raw food diet, one of the main problems is that people don't eat enough calories. So if someone doesn't believe in the concept of calories and is giving out health information or diet information, then it can be very confusing for you to actually follow anything they're saying because they don't really understand how to compare different types of food and the value of those different types of food to you. It's like they've not even accepted like the first the basic concepts of nutrition. So you get a lot of bad advice out there, but that doesn't mean that the people aren't giving a lot of good advice and that they're not right most of the time. That's not what we're saying, but there's no need for people to hold on to old bad advice. It's a shame to me that people revere old teachers that didn't work it out, that were wrong. A lot of these old teachers were simply wrong, or simply were incomplete in their understanding of diet and incomplete in their understanding of nutrition. And there's a lot of people in the raw food world and natural health movement in general that hold on to these old ideas, old teachers, as if it's gospel. And very little of it is gospel. Very little of any books or information is 100% gospel. So we're moving towards better and better information, I think. So, what's the worst information that you've personally heard? What's the worst? And if you were to ask me, I do think I asked this question of a panel at the Danish Fruit Festival, and Tara from Raw Food Living, previously 40 Below Fruity from Canada, she said the worst piece of information was to only brush, or if you were raw, that you could just brush with water, and that she'd ended up with a lot of cavities. And I would say exactly the same. I was getting into this around the same time, and maybe I'd heard the same types of people saying that very same thing, like, you know, that brushing or toothpaste can damage the teeth and stuff like that, and brushing can actually lead to problems, or toothpaste can lead to problems, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of people that are still catching the tail end of that and believing that. And a lot of people also don't like fluoride. I've mentioned that in a video before, but a lot of people are like surprised if you're not against fluoride. Like, people just assume that everyone should be against fluoride. It's like, it's like, wait a minute here. But that's for another video. But that's a piece of information. If I'd just got proper good dental advice, like really good dental advice, then I could have missed out on a lot of cavities and stuff, and pain and stuff like that, because it wasn't the fact that the raw food diet that hurt my teeth necessarily. It was a cavalier attitude that came along with dental health that I'd adopted from having seen and read things that were kind of saying, well, you know, actually the brushing is a problem and you should just use a soft brush and stuff like that. And you don't need a soft brush, you need a brush that works. You need a brush that brushes the food and everything else off your teeth. So we need to mechanically brush, remove the food, remove the tartar and so on from the mouth. So that's just an example, but what's the worst information? What's the worst myth? What's the worst outright lies, if you like? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you.